Hello, folks. I hope everybody out there is well and in the space that serves them best, which actually I don't even hope that you are in the space that serves you best. I simply know you are in the space that serves you best, whether you're comfortable with it or not. It is the space that is needed for your evolution at this moment. This is Elaine Bartlett, your host of the Purple Portal. And the Purple Portal is a cosmic connection to other dimensions within yourself. So it's my humble way of broadcasting frequencies that will trigger you to step into aspects of yourself that perhaps you did not even know existed. But I know they exist, and I know that that sense of expansion is right here for you and right now. Now, usually on my Purple Portal show, I am inviting you to phone in, but today the show is actually pre-recorded, so you can't call in. I will, though, still invite you, if you need to reach me, to go to my not to my website. First, we'll do that second. Go to my email, purpleportal777@gmail.com. So once again, it's the color purple, Purple, portal, Portal, 777@gmail.com. And that way you can reach me with any comments or thoughts or questions. You know, some of you have been so delightful in kind of asking questions to me off the air, and I'm delighted to answer. What I will caution you, though, about, I am not going to give you a full-on free consultation about what you should and could be doing with your life. If you want a consultation, that is my business, capital B. And so for a consultation, I invite you to go to my website, www.higherconsciousness. And that higher is the higher of the higher archangels kind of thing. So it's HIERCONSCIOUSNESS, higherconsciousness.com. And there's a service page. Please check it out. You may want a half-hour consultation, an hour consultation. Some of you may want this kind of insight into you from a numerological point of view. Others may want the I Ching. Some of you want some feng shui insight. I've been at this a long time. And because it's a business, and I respect your businesses, I know you'll respect what I do as a business. It's all too easy. It's kind of like finding that doctor at the cocktail party, and you roll up your sleeve and say, "Hey, doc, what do you think this is?" It's way too much. I can't possibly give you a thimbleful of information that will be sufficient. You are a multifaceted being. You deserve more, and therefore it requires more time and more focus and therefore more energy. So go to higherconsciousness.com and check out my services. All right, so yes, my name is Elaine Bartlett, and Bartlett is like the pears, a Bartlett pear. Think of it that way. You know, there is an app for this program because this program is brought to you from Talk Network Radio. So you could put an app on your phones, TNR. So it's T for Thomas, N for Nancy, R for Right On. And you can listen to my shows and any of the other wonderful people who are connected with this whole system at any time you like. So for me, all you have to do is figure out how to scroll to the purple portal, and you're in and good to go. So today, because you can't call in, I thought it would be a wonderful time to share a little bit about something called the I Ching. Now, there are different pronunciations of it. Sometimes you will hear it pronounced Yi, Y-E-E, Ching, C-H-I-N-G, or sometimes people say it's the I Ching, and then it's just an I and C-H-I-N-G. Well, the Yi Ching pronunciation is just a bit more Asian in its influence, and the I Ching, of course, is how we've sort of slurred the E, and it's all one and the same thing. But the I Ching is a very ancient system, and the word actually means book of changes. So it's nothing, again, it's nothing scary, it's nothing anti any religion that you've ever believed in, although I would suggest you drop all your beliefs in all of those systems because they're soon to be taken down, so you might as well be on the leading edge of that and let it go because the systems are basically corrupt. And if you explore and dig a little and investigate and follow the money, you will understand the corruptness of the very system you've been bowing to. The only system you are to bow to is the light within yourself. You are the shining one. And once you begin to bow to the light within yourself, well, it'll be a heck of a lot more easier for you to be generous of spirit and bow to the light in me or your enemy or your most hated one, because you can see it. You actually can see it. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to want to befriend everybody who ever crosses your path. It's not necessary. There's nothing for you to do with them at this time in eternity. So what do? You drop them. You put them down. So I'm going to tell you, as we go along here, how to use the I Ching. So I'm going to give you a moment, and I'll keep rattling on here, but I want you to go get 3 quarters. Okay, so dig around in your pocketbooks, your wallet, kitchen counter, find yourself 3 quarters. Why quarters? Simply because they're a little weightier, and rather than a dime or a nickel or a penny. So and they have to be 3 even things. Don't get a penny, a nickel, and a quarter. No, they all need to have the same weight. When I do the I Ching, generally, personally, I use Chinese coins, simply because it's more in keeping with the whole energy field, which is very much from ancient China. There's also ways to read the I Ching with pieces of rice in a little glass, and also something called the yarrow sticks, Y-A-R-O. However, for this simple, humble beginner's talk today, 3 quarters will do it. If you want to contact me and order 3 Chinese coins in a little pouch, which will cost you all of $10, you're going to email me at purpleportal777.com. Tell me that that's what you want. It's not on my website yet. So you'd have to email it. You'd then have to go to PayPal, put $10 in, and Shazam, this lovely little thing is then sent to you. But it can be done with quarters as well. So suit yourself. Some of you will have a real propensity toward keeping in the flavor of the whole thing. So I hope now you've got your 3 quarters. You need a piece of paper, and you need a pencil or a pen. The wisdom because not only is it a book of changes, it's actually a wisdom book, if you will. And it's a way of you reading the current of the river of your life at any moment. And so, yes, you get to ask it a question. And in the 70s, well, I guess maybe it was the 80s, it must have been the early 80s, some lovely friend gave me a copy of the I Ching. And it was, trust me, now I look back and think, oh, that was a very simple beginner copy. I looked at it and I felt a bit frustrated, kind of irritated, and I don't know what this is saying. And I stuck it on the shelf, and there it stayed until probably the late 80s, early 90s. One day I was like, what is this book? Do I have to get rid of it? I opened it up, and everything that had been written in Greek that made me so uncomfortable 10 years prior was now readily available to my understanding brain. And so I began to look. And one day I had a choice to go from Florida up to New York City for a trade show. I was very invested in interior design at the time, and going to the trade show was a big deal. Particularly when you're new at any of these things, it's always a big deal. So I sat down and I thought, well, I'm just going to ask the I Ching. Should I go or not go? Tell me something, right? And I was a bit, I don't know, brassy as I look back on it now. Like, yeah, being a wise guy, going to a very sacred thing, and that it doesn't work well. So drop your wise guy attitude. The I Ching needs you to be extremely humble, extremely. But wise guy Elaine here went and like, okay, what can you tell me about going to Manhattan for the trade show? Well, this thing had such a dire report, it was almost humorous. It was like, don't do it, restrictions, problems. And I looked at it, and I had written it all down, so I looked at what I wrote, and then I thought, that is ridiculous. I am not going to let any oracle rule my life. I know better. I'm going to just go anyway. In those days, you could pack your trusty little suitcase and practically walk out on the tarmac. As a matter of fact, you could walk out on the tarmac. In those days, it was down in Fort Lauderdale, and it was a lovely, simple airport at the time. It was not quite as glitzy and glamorous as it is now. So I get to the airport, and there's quite a long line at the ticket where I was supposed to get the ticket. And people were edgy, and nobody's giving any information. And I'm just standing there, and thankfully, in my arrogance, I knew enough to at least have only a carry-on. And I'm not a carry-on gal. I haven't mastered the trick of packing lightly. I have to have several changes of outfits just in case my inner self says, no, you don't need pink, you need green. So I don't tend to travel lightly. But this time I had my little pull-on travel case right with me, and I'm standing there patiently waiting for 15 minutes, waiting for a half hour, waiting for 45 minutes. At the hour mark, some lovely gal comes from one of the closed doors behind the ticket counter, and I was close enough that she leaned into the agent's ear, but you could hear it, and she simply said, the flight's been canceled. There was a bomb threat. I just took my little case, turned on my heel, and thought, wow, what a big lesson for me. From that moment on, arrogance dropped. There was just a sense of sincerity